Now, the point to which I have been leading with all of this is that the degree to which we commit ourselves with God to this joint creative effort that we call life on earth is dependent and proportional to the degree to which we believe this dream, this illusion, to be real. And you see, as I speak these words, I absolutely know that many people will think to themselves, what is this guy talking about? Of course this is all real. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. That level of conviction as to the certainty of the earth is what makes the universe work. The viability of God's reproductive system teeters on the strength of that conviction. The wide spectrum and intensity of emotions, from the most negative to the most positive, that comes from humans taking themselves and this earthly situation so seriously, is what gives the world such a vibrant sense of reality. Our emotions are the spices that give the living drama its rich flavor as the earth progresses through time. And for God to start making drastic changes in the physio-illusional realm just to make it softer on us would only tend to dull and disenhance, perhaps even nullify, the profound and extemporaneous stories taking place on earth. I am talking about living stories. Elvis, Joan of Arc, Einstein, Ed the janitor, Cleopatra, Adolf Hitler. Living stories with roles acted out by humans as a direct result of the absolute believability of situations within the physical dimension. We are each an individual living story that is being spontaneously self-written by the choices we make and how those choices intermesh and intermingle with the choices others make within the infinite range of possibilities unfolding in the holographic-like mental arena of God's living consciousness. We are all unwitting participants in God's real dream, as I described it in episode 4. A dream that God has constructed in such a way as to literally create new dreamers just like Himself, and will continue to do so as long as the new dreamers continue to perform their respective roles in the creation process. Now, the ultimate point is that by not realizing that we are engrossed in a vivid dream-like reality from which we will all eventually awaken, it allows us, the naive innocence, to play to the hilt whatever role we may momentarily find ourselves in. Gender role, race role, villain role, saint role, fool role, genius role. Whatever it may be, we give stellar performances in our roles because we are caught up in the dream and we believe them. Our gender roles, for instance, which are at the very heart of God's reproductive system, and indeed our most important roles of all, are truly dependent upon low consciousness and a blind acceptance of the illusion. For you see, our true form that will be revealed to us upon death is a genderless wholeness of being, as is God's form. Which means that all of our spirits are absolutely identical in structure and purpose. Any one of us at this very moment could be occupying either a male or female body of any other race or societal circumstances on the entire planet, and it would not make one bit of difference as to the role play itself, nor to our ultimate outcome. However, the point being, it is the veil of unconsciousness, along with the perfection of God's creative power over His mental holography, that has resulted in these wonderful temporary facades. that not only produce the illusion of differences between us when in fact there are none, but is also responsible for the intense attraction between the sexes. An attraction that leads to the bonding that ultimately leads to the deep supernatural mechanism that God has established for the awakening of new eternal souls into life. This is how He does it. This is how new souls are literally conceived. Not all souls all at once in some magic moment in past eternity, but fresh and new, one at a time, through the advanced informational processes of an unthinkable level of order that God has created in and of Himself in the form of what we call a universe. We then stay in His universe just long enough in a logical appearing progression of our placental facades from infancy to old age for the sake of the illusion, in order to bring new and subsequent souls conceived through us to the point where they can carry on the same process themselves. We, meaning our spirits, are then born out never to return again. All of which takes place in only 70 trips of the earth around the sun. Not a big deal for an eternity of life in paradise. So you see now, every aspect that God has incorporated into the universe, from our attenuated and subdued level of consciousness to the problems and misunderstandings we experience as a result of our attenuated consciousness, to His not intervening in those problems in blatantly supernatural ways, to its colossal size and bizarre, frightening attributes, down to its most trivial details, such as useless meteorites drifting through the ether of space, all conspire together to enhance and perpetuate the illusion of objective reality in order to keep us focused in on down-to-earth realms of activity during our short stay within it. Again, making babies. So realize now that as we stand out here and view the universe from the eternal perspective, as far as we are concerned, everything happening within the universe, besides the birthing events of God's offspring, are just transient incidentals. The flotsam and jetsam of the ethereal embryos of God's cosmic womb. And once the messy and painful birthing process is completed, and that final contraction and push that we call death has delivered our spirits into the light of true reality, we will look back at the universe and understand that things had to be the way they were, negative aspects and all, in order for the system to work properly. And once we realize that no one really dies, and that all of our siblings' dark and malevolent actions on earth were the result of the general low level of consciousness that God Himself imposed upon us for the sake of order, then the forgiveness of God and the forgiveness we will have for each other will be absolute for everyone, with no exceptions.